You've been asking for it, so now we're gonna make it. Thin, crispy, snappy as hell beef jerky. We've never done this before, but today we're diving in head first. No recipe, no roadmap, just beef, instinct, and maybe a little bit of chaos. So let's make this thing, or totally screw it up. Either way, you're coming with us. What is up? I am glad you're here. I'm Doug, and this is Joey with Jerky.com. We have always received DMs, comments, emails, smoke signals, all of the things requesting this one damn thing. Do you guys make a thin and crispy jerky? The kind that snaps like a cracker.
Out of all of the jerky that we have, all the different meat types, we even have a range of textures of jerky, but we don't have anything that I would call thin and crispy. We've never made it before, but today we're gonna try.
So we'll probably go thin with the slicing. We might hit it high on the temperature and long on the time. Anything we can do to try to get that snappy, shattery effect. So this ain't our usual game, but that's the fun part. So come along with us, start to finish. So whether we nail it or totally waste a good piece of beef, you're gonna come along with us and see how we make it. No edits, no fluff, just us making jerky. So let's get it. All right, so Matt says we got a little over 6 pounds of a top round to work with on these samples. So we usually do 3-pound batches. So here's what I'm thinking. Let's break it into 3 2-pound batches. That way you could try a few different flavors of the thin and crispy style, see what flavor profiles work, which ones don't. So I think for the first one, let's do an old school, original style, you know, kind of a little salty, a little savory, maybe a little garlic, I don't know, a little black pepper. We'll keep it simple, keep it classic. All right, what should we do about the other two?
My personal #1 favorite, sweet and spicy. #2 is that honey pepper that we have. So, you know, I say sweet and spicy honey pepper if you're up for it.
I can get down with those. So here's the game plan. We're gonna do 1 2-pound batch in original, 1 2-pound batch in a honey pepper, and we're gonna try a 1 2-pound batch in a sweet and spicy. So all of this in a thin and crispy format, hopefully, that's the goal here. No idea how this is gonna turn out, but we'll all find out together here real quick. Let's get the slicer out, let's get Matt out here, and we'll just start slicing up, find a good thickness.
Piece we're looking at right here, nice eye around. All we need to do is trim this little fat cap here, a little bit of silver skin, a little bit on the backside. All right, I think we are just about there for our test today. I think we're gonna call this good for today.
I think it's gonna be the right thickness at the right temperature for the right amount of time. Probably have to go quite a bit higher than usual temp and time wise, so.
Yeah, it's still a little frozen on the center. But Joe, you're asking about the marbling, so that's what we're looking at on the inside. Very, very minor.
All right, so this is kind of where we would start on a normal piece of jerky that we make, about 4.5 millimeters. I think that's a little too thick for the thin and crispy thing, so let's go way thinner than this, see where we end up.
1 millimeter. I'd say this is the absolute thinnest slice I've ever made on this.
All right, look at that, 1 millimeter. That stuff's pretty thin. I think we may go somewhere in between, but I think we're real close on that. You can see how thick that is there compared to what we normally do. Look at the difference between those two. I think something this thickness at a higher temperature than we usually use for a longer period of time, I think this will get us there. We got this all sliced up at the thickness we think is gonna work for this thin and crispy jerky in just under a 2-pound batch. So let's get to making the marinade. All right, so with all the meat sliced, all we gotta do is measure out our ingredients here on our handy dandy scale. We're gonna start with 31 grams of salt, 5.5 grams of celery powder, 12 grams of granulated garlic, 12 grams of onion powder, 4 grams of black pepper. A little bit of liquid smoke goes a long way. Let's do 3 grams. Let's do 11 grams of lemon juice concentrate. And finally, we'll do about 36 grams of water. That'll really help carry all that seasoning inside the meat. So let's go ahead and mix this all up. And I can already tell it's gonna need a little bit more water. So I'm gonna add another 36 grams and see where that puts us. You don't wanna add too much water because obviously we're trying to take as much moisture out of this as possible, but you definitely don't want it looking like a paste. I'm gonna add 30 more grams and I think this is gonna get us close. All right, so now we're just gonna add all of our meat in here. I like to peel it out one by one just to make sure that none of the pieces are sticking to each other. Oh my God, Joey, you know what we forgot? We forgot the soy sauce and the Worcestershire. Let me add that in real quick. 30 grams soy sauce, and I like Worcestershire. So let's do 20 grams. Now we got everything. All right, with the original one marinating, now we can get going on the honey pepper flavor profile that Joey picked. Joey, this is your flavor. Why don't you, you want to go ahead and make this one?
I can give it a go.
All right, Joey's in on this one. Joey, get going on the honey pepper.
All right, looks like we got some honey pepper. We got this thin sliced meat right here. Let's see how this turns out. Let me go grab some ingredients real quick. All right, we're gonna start with 25 grams of salt. We're also gonna add 4 grams of black pepper. Also 5 grams of celery powder. 7.5 grams of granulated garlic. 7.5 grams of granulated garlic. All right, since this one's a honey pepper, I want it to have some extra bite because I personally like that. So we're gonna add 7.5 grams of coarse black pepper as well. I'll be honest, I like my jerky a little sweet, so I'm going 160 grams of white sugar. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount. Thanks to Doug, I'm not going to forget to add some soy sauce. We're going 55 grams. All right, I need 130 grams of honey. The problem is it's going to stick to the inside of this bowl, so I'm going to pour it directly in there, just kind of eyeball it. A little bit heavier on the honey, but like I said, I like my jerky a little bit sweeter. 29 grams of lemon juice concentrate. Also 11 grams of apple juice concentrate. And now for the secret ingredient, 4 grams of olive oil. This one feels a little bit thicker than normal. I don't know if it's the honey and both of the concentrates in here, but I'll be honest, it seems a little bit thicker than normal. But as thin as this stuff is, I think this could work. Now we're gonna go ahead and toss all the meat in. Just make sure to peel it apart first, that way it gets evenly coated. Time to mix it up now. Now all it's left to do is throw the lid on it, put it in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours.
All right, Joey, you did pretty good. How do you feel?
I don't know. I feel like you should maybe do the next one.
It was a little thick, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna work on that thin stuff. So we'll see. I think you did good. Okay, so finally the third flavor, my personal favorite out of all 3 of these, the sweet and spicy. We're looking for a little bit of sweet, looking for a little bit of heat. This is my favorite flavor profile, so let's get it. I'm gonna do this one. Let's go. Let's start with 180 grams of brown sugar, 18 grams of salt, 5.5 grams of celery powder, 11 grams of granulated garlic, 11 grams of onion powder, 4 grams of black pepper. Now let's do a couple grams of chili powder. I like my sweet heat layered with heat, so let's do a gram of cayenne pepper. Another trick to layering heat, different kinds of pepper. Let's do 1 gram of white pepper. Let's kick it up a notch with a little bit of liquid smoke, about 3 grams. Next, let's do 15 grams of pineapple concentrate. Of course, we need soy sauce, 36 grams. Another layered heat trick, let's add just a little bit of Tabasco sauce, 2 grams. And finally, 50 grams of water. Help thin this out a little bit and help carry that flavor deep into the meat. Now I just want to mix it all up. With this thin stuff, I like to go on the thicker side than usual because it's not difficult to penetrate super thin sliced meat. This is a lot thicker than what we usually use, and I'm gonna be honest, this smells phenomenal. Now I just got to separate all this meat and add it to the marinade. As usual, I put it in 1 piece at a time just to guarantee they're not all stuck together. Now per usual, let's just mix this all thoroughly. Do not half-ass this step. Now I just throw a lid on this thing and throw her in the fridge for about 24 to 48 hours. The longer the better. So it's been about 42 hours. Let's see, we put it in the fridge. We put this in Tuesday about 4 p.m. It's now Thursday about 10 a.m., so about 42 hours. The longer you give it, the more flavor it soaks in. I think this stuff smells great. It's ready to go. All we gotta do now is rack it. I'm gonna put a rack down just to catch any drippings. But here's also what I'm gonna do. I'm really worried, as thin as this stuff is, I'm really worried that we're gonna cook it at such a high temperature for so long that it's just gonna bake itself onto this rack. So I'm gonna spray all of these racks down pretty generously with some oil, because I really don't want this stuff sticking. You just want to make sure nothing's touching. You don't want any piece touching. You want proper airflow all the way around. Okay, we usually run this for test batches at a lower temperature. We're gonna run this high. I think we're gonna go 158. Usually we run these things for 4 to 6 hours, but I'm gonna start checking it at about 6 hours at 158 degrees. All right, so the original is all racked up. I'm just gonna clean up a little bit. We gotta do honey pepper next. Joey, you wanna come in? You made your honey pepper. Why don't you get in here and rack this stuff up?
All right, Doug, I guess I'll go ahead and rack this one up. I'm gonna be honest, racking is probably my least favorite part. I struggle with it, but let's see how this one goes. As you can see, I'm kind of Tetrisizing all the different pieces together. That way I can maximize as many pieces as I can on each rack. And with that said, time to throw in the dehydrator and set the time and temperature. Okay, now just like Doug did, normally we do this at 140 degrees, but we're doing this one at 158. And instead of 4 to 6 hours, we're gonna go ahead and set it to 6 hours, but just we're gonna come back, we're gonna babysit it and make sure it gets to that thin and crispy jerky that we're looking for. All right, I went ahead and racked that honey pepper, but let's bring Doug in here, let him do the sweet and spicy, get it in the dehydrator, and see how this jerky turns out.
Okay, this is the one I'm the most excited about. This is sweet and spicy. It smells so good. I'd like to see it a little bit more translucent. I'm optimistic for this one, but I'm already feeling like we should have gone thinner. Okay, we have 2 dehydrators here on the counter we use all the time, but for this one, I gotta bring in reinforcements. This third flavor is gonna need a 3rd dehydrator. Usually we run this about 140 to 150 degrees. I'm gonna run this all the way up to 160. And we're gonna start babysitting it at about 6 hours. But I think this one's gonna take a while. We got all 3 of these batches sliced, marinated, racked, and then in the dehydrators. Now what we gotta do is babysit it. All right, it has been a few days. I'm gonna be honest, it's way longer than I thought it was gonna be. Here's the final cook time on all of these. The original here, we ran at 160 degrees for 15 hours. That one didn't take as long because it was mostly dry ingredients. We didn't add a ton of moisture and there wasn't a lot of sugar or anything in it. But these, on the other hand,
They're the reason it's taken so many days.
these are why. The honey pepper and the sweet and spicy, these are the reason it took so long. We ran both of these for 160 hours, babysat it until it got the crispness we wanted, ran it for 47 hours. I did not think it was gonna run that long. And most of that difference came from the additional sugar and the additional moisture and stuff that we added to these recipes. And I'm really glad that we sprayed those trays down with Pam, because when we pulled these off, they just slid right off, didn't stick, no mess, no problem at all. All right, I wanna show you guys how crispy this stuff ended up. So this original here is the driest feeling of all of them. And it's crispy, but not completely crunchy. The honey pepper somehow ended up a little thicker than I was expecting it. And it also has a crisp. The sweet and spicy, this is the one I'm most excited for. A little bit more surface moisture than this original, but it also has a really good crisp. But let's drag some taste testers in here. Let's get some real feedback on this. Not only see about the crunch, but let's see about the taste.
That is definitely dried out. A little bit more of a bend than a perfect break.
So on a scale of crispy, 1 to 10, how crispy would you say that is?
I'm gonna give this a solid 6.5, 7.
Could be crunchier.
Could be crunchier. It's got a good flavor. It's a little on the salty side.
Is this flavor you think we should keep or kill?
Keep it. Yeah, it definitely looks different appearance-wise. Crispy scale, it's gonna be probably more of an 8, I would say. It's not bad, but this is right there with that last one. I'm gonna say a solid 8. Pretty good. It's got a little bit more spice. No, overall, I'd say keep it.
Now rank these in order of most favorite to least favorite.
I go 1, 2, and 3.
8 out of 10. I wouldn't want it to be any crispier than what it is. Not for me. Oh. Just because I think there's probably something crunchier out there, I have to go 9 out of 10. I don't think the pepper pairs very well with the honey in this application, being so crispy. You just can't pull a lot of the flavor out, so I'll say kill this one as well. Okay, a fair amount of crisp to it. I give it an 8 out of 10 overall. It's a hard chew. You don't pick up on a lot of flavor. I'd kill this one too. My favorite, I'm going with the OG. It's had a really good flavor to it. Second up, I have the honey pepper. Third, I got to put that sweet and spicy down there. Did I win?
I like the crunchiness. I would say like a 9. I feel like it's a little bit on the salty side. Keep for sure. Ooh. This reminds me of like really crispy, like fried chicken skin. Might be a little bit too crispy, but I know some people really like that. I say keep. I'll probably put it at like a 9 on the crispiness. I mean, I think it tastes really good and I like the crispiness. I think I'd probably keep this one. Original, sweet and spicy, honey pepper.
All right, so hands down, the original was everybody's favorite. That kind of surprises me. I would not have had them in this order. What order would you put them in?
I like that. I know it's crispy, maybe a little too crispy. I get what you're saying, but
I'd go sweet and spicy, honey pepper, original. But I think I'd go thinner, seeing how some of these ended up way thicker than I thought.
yeah.
But still, I mean, that's crazy crunch. So I don't know, we might do another version of this, try this even thinner. You guys let us know down in the comments what you think we need to change on this.
Give us some flavor ideas for the next version too.
Yeah, you guys got any ideas, flavors, textures, whatever, let us know down there. So I guess that's it for this one on our first version of the thin and crispy stuff. We might do this one again. You guys want to see us make anything, leave it down in the comments. Other than that, we are done with this one, and I guess we'll see you guys next time in the test kitchen.